Islam is against violence. Islam means peace, Islam means tolerance. But is this true? Does Islam really preach peace, tolerance, and non-violence? Those Muslims who perpetrate crimes in the name of Islam think differently. They believe that what they do is a jihad or a holy war. They say that killing the non-believers is mandatory for every Muslim. Those who blow up their bodies to kill the people of different faith or infidels do so because they think they will be rewarded in paradise. They hope to be blessed by Allah, eat celestial food, drink pure wine, and enjoy sex with 72 virgins. Are they completely misguided? Let's see what the Quran really teaches. The Quran says, kill the non-believers wherever you find them. 2:191. Murder them and treat them harshly. 9:123. The surah number. The Quran says that all those who disbelieve in Islam will be thrown into hell. They are filthy, untouchable, impure. And Muslims are ordered to fight the non-believers until no other religion except Islam is left. It prohibits a Muslim to be a friend to a non-believer, even if that non-believer is the father or the brother of that very Muslim. It says that the non-believers will go to hell and will drink boiling water. It asks the Muslims to slay or crucify or cut off the hands and feet of the non-believers, that they be expelled from the land with disgrace, and that they shall have great punishment in the world hereafter. The Quran says, those who invoke a God other than Allah not only should meet punishment in this world, but the penalty on the day of judgment will be doubled to them. For those who believe not in Allah and His Messenger, He has prepared a blazing fire. 48:13. There are many more. Apologists of Islam often say, you are confusing Islam with Islamic fundamentalism. The real Islam has nothing to do with violence. True, there may be moderate Muslims, but Islam itself is not moderate. And I do not think there is a difference between Islam and Islamic fundamentalism. In this wide world, I have no country to call my home. The country where I was born and raised has forsaken me. I'm left with memories of a land and people that are intrinsic parts of my being, whose language and culture molded me. That country was Bangladesh. When I was forced to leave Bangladesh, free-thinking intellectuals from the West stood by me. I then moved to Europe. It has been 17 years now that I have not been allowed to return to my country. Even when my mother was on her deathbed, the Bangladeshi government told me I could not return. A few years after that, when my father lay dying, I begged, pleaded, and cried to be allowed to see him, if only for 2 days. The government of Bangladesh refused to permit me entry. For a decade, I wandered from one European country to the next. I sought a home but found none. I felt like a foreigner everywhere, an alien in the truest sense. I always wanted to return home. Since I knew that was not possible, I wanted to go to India. I could at least get a taste of home in India. But India has kept her doors firmly shut for 6 years. When finally I was given permission to go, I did not waste a moment. I eagerly chose India's state of West Bengal as my new home. But when I was physically attacked by Muslim fundamentalists in an Indian state, Instead of taking action against the fundamentalists, the government took action against me. I was kept under house arrest by the government of West Bengal for months. Not only that, I was repeatedly asked to leave the state and preferably the country. And then in November 2007, a group of Muslim fundamentalists organized a violent protest against my stay in India. I was thrown out of West Bengal, the state that had been my home for years. It is absolutely amazing that no action was taken against those who had indulged in this violence, who burned vehicles on the street and who put a price on my head. Instead, it was the victim who was tortured. Finally, the central government of India took charge of me. They put me again under house arrest. For months, I experienced an inhuman and miserable existence. The government of India pressured me to leave the country. But where was I to go? If I could have gone back to Bangladesh, I would have. I did not prefer choosing to live in one of the Western countries. India, which prides itself on being the world's largest democracy and allegedly secular state, could not shelter me. They could not give shelter to a person whose entire life has been spent in the cause of secular humanism, a person without a land or a home, who regarded India as her home, and who, as a Bengali writer, wanted to live in a Bengali environment surrounded by her own language and culture. Was this too much to ask for? I was amazed that not any political party, organization, or institution protested against the way in which I had been treated. Unfortunately, today in India, if one is to be liberal, one must be a little pro-Islam. One must not criticize Muslim fundamentalists even if they issue fatwa against women or writers and set price on their hair. A liberal Indian must not talk against a Muslim because Muslims are a minority in the country and because a minority could be oppressed by the majority community, so all Muslims should be defended, whatever their crime. If Muslim fundamentalists want to enact Muslim laws that are definitely anti-women, liberal Indians appear to appreciate those demands in the name of multiculturalism. The problem of India is that all the political parties appear to be having a Muslim appeasement policy. Muslims number 25% of the population in India, and the numbers are increasing rapidly. Politicians are running after Muslim votes. They push for the building of mosques, the Muslim prayer halls, the madrasas, the Quranic schools. Just a year ago, 15,000 people hit the street of Karnataka, state of India, burned the towns and killed 2 people. The fanatics burned down newspaper offices and curfews were imposed in few towns of Karnataka. All because a local newspaper published an article of mine about burqa, the Islamic veil. There is no debate possible on this issue. Instead, the fanatics used it as an issue to destroy property in the name of Islam. It was a mayhem of intolerance. I wrote in the article that burqa or headscarf or veil is a symbol of oppression, and even though Islam prescribes it, women should not wear it. We can see ignorance reaching such heights that it does not hesitate to take lives of people. The most tragic thing is that in the largest democracy of the world, it is an accepted idea that there should be a limit to freedom of expression. The question of limitation is very much related to criticism of Islam. Islam has been largely exempted from the critical scrutiny applied to other religions. I have been fighting for freedom of expression for years and paid a high price for it. In India, women have been victims of female feticide, dowry murder, bride burning, gang rape, slave trade, sexual slavery, domestic violence, etc. 50 million women are missing in India. Recently, India became the world's 4th most dangerous country for women. I'm trying my best to fight all kinds of discrimination, to fight all kinds of discrimination against women by raising awareness. There has been Semitization of Hinduism and the rise of Hindu fundamentalism to oppose Muslim fundamentalism. Is it the way to oppose them? I definitely do not think so. An eye for an eye is never a solution to any problem. People need to get secular education to become enlightened, tolerant, rational, peace-loving people and believers in human rights, women's rights, secular humanism and democracy. India needs to have an uniform civil code based on equality and a strict separation of state and religion. India needs more science schools instead of religious schools, more scientific academies instead of temples and mosques. Only then will it slowly become a modern state, free from religious bigotry, obscurantism and fanaticism. India's biggest problems which need to be fought are poverty, corruption, women's oppression, superstitions and casteism. By supporting women's rights everywhere, I have criticized all kinds of religions, tradition, cultures and customs, but to my surprise I am labeled as being anti-Islam. This has led to some people saying that I am a Muslim hater. But they are wrong. By no means am I a Muslim hater. I always stand beside oppressed people. I stood beside Muslims when they were oppressed in Gujarat, in India, in Palestine, and in Bosnia. I defended their rights to live, just as I stood beside the Hindus who are oppressed in Bangladesh and by the Christians in Pakistan. To me, their religious identity is not important. I consider them as human beings. Nobody should be oppressed because of her or his belief or non-belief. I have always stood for these. The criticism I make of the religions I do by writings. I do not go to harm the believers physically with the sword. No, I do not believe in violence. The fanatics never accept the idea to have a dialogue or debate with me or write articles or books opposing me. They come to kill me, for they are convinced by their belief in their religion that an apostate must be killed. Still, people like to believe that Islam is a religion of peace. But since my childhood, I have witnessed the opposite. I believe no country can become civilized without criticizing the dogmatic practices of its religions. Without separating state and religion, no state or society can become modern. Should Islam continue to be untouchable? Many Western intellectuals who are enjoying secularism in their own country are not agreeing to criticize Islamic oppression of women for fear it might hurt the religious sentiments of Muslims. But I ask, should it remain how it is, and should women continue to suffer? Without criticism of Islam, it would never possible for Islamic countries to separate state and religion, never possible to have a secular education instead of a Quranic education, never possible to stop Islam-based politics, and if such didn't happen, Islamic states would remain in darkness forever. Women would not enjoy the right to live as human beings. Like India, even in the West, the fear of offending Muslims and the wider Islamic world has kept Islam away from the type of critical scrutiny applied to other religions. In the West, people are scared of the Muslim radicals, but at the same time unsure of themselves. They do not want to be seen taking a critical stand that might project them as anti-Muslim and betray their liberal traditions. It is unbelievable to see the amount